Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Hello students, welcome to another video. This is Hamza Noor from Aero Education Network, and in this particular lecture I'm starting the past paper questions of International A-Level Edexcel P1 chapter number 1 Algebraic Expressions. Okay, in my online classes we have completed the first chapter, okay, of P1 textbook, and now we are starting the past paper questions. Okay, so first of all we have this question number 1 of the handout. So part A is saying that find the value of A and the value of B for which 8 raised to the power of x divided by 2 raised to the power of x minus 1 is exactly identical to 2 raised to the power of ax plus b. Okay, we just need to make a comparison and find the value of A and the value of B over here. So first thing first, 8 raised to the power of x is divided by 2 raised to the power of x minus 1. So in place of 8, I can write 2 cube. Okay, so 2 cube is raised to the power of x divided by 2 raised to the power of x minus 1. Now the powers will be multiplied together, since according to the laws of indices we have studied a raised to the power of m whole thing is raised to the power of n. So this is exactly the same thing as saying a raised to the power of m multiplied by n. Okay, the powers will be multiplied together. So 2 raised to the power of 3x is in the numerator, and this is divided by 2 raised to the power of x minus 1. Now, according to the laws of indices, since the bases are same, terms are being divided. Okay, so the powers will be subtracted. As we have studied in the laws of indices, a raised to the power of m divided by a raised to the power of n. This is exactly the same thing as saying a raised to the power of m minus n. Okay, so 2 raised to the power of 3x minus bracket open x minus 1 bracket close, which means 2 raised to the power of 3x minus x plus 1. So this becomes 2 raised to the power of 2x plus 1. Now we just need to make a comparison with the form of 2 raised to the power of ax plus b. Therefore, a is equals to 2 and b is equals to 1. Okay, in the power we can see that the coefficient of x is a and the coefficient of x is 2. Therefore, a is equals to 2, and in the power this constant b is basically compared with 1. Therefore, b is equals to 1. All right, so this was the solution of part A. So now let's move on to part B. In part B, it is said, hence solve the equation 8 raised to the power of x divided by 2 raised to the power of x minus 1. Okay, so basically the thing is that, in place of 8 raised to the power of x divided by 2 raised to the power of x minus 1, we can exactly write, 2 raised to the power of 2x plus 1. So hence actually means that we need to use the outcome of part A. Okay, whatever we have obtained, whatever we have proved in part A, we are going to use it further in our calculation, in our working. Okay, so basically, as we have proven that 8 raised to the power of x divided by 2 raised to the power of x minus 1 is exactly identical to 2 raised to the power of 2x plus 1. Okay, so this means that, when this is equated with 2 root 2, so we need to solve this equation in indices. 2 raised to the power of 2x plus 1 is equals to 2 root 2. Now 2 root 2 is exactly the same thing as saying 2 raised to the power of 1 multiplied by 2 raised to the power of half. Agreed with this or not? And according to the laws of indices, since the bases are same, terms are being multiplied, so the powers are going to be added. Okay, as we have studied, a raised to the power of m multiplied by a raised to the power of n, this is equals to a raised to the power of m plus n. So powers are going to be added. So 1 plus half is basically 3 over 2. So this means 2 raised to the power of 2x plus 1 is equals to 2 raised to the power of 3 over 2. Now, as we can see that, we are solving an equation in indices. Okay, the bases are same. and terms are being equated with each other, therefore the powers are equal to each other. So simply the powers will be equal to each other, therefore we can say that 2x plus 1 is equals to 3 over 2. We are essentially finding a value of x which satisfies this equation. Okay, so 2x would be equals to 3 over 2 minus 1, which is equals to half. So 2x is equals to half, therefore x is equals to 1 upon 4 is supposed to be your answer. Alright, so in this way we have attempted this question. Okay, so now let's move on. So up next we have handout question number 2, which is P1 January 2019 question number 2. Okay, the question is saying that given that 3 raised to the power of x divided by 3 raised to the power of 4y is equals to 27 root 3. We need to find y as a simplified function of x. Here we are given an equation in indices. We need to find y as a simplified function of x. So first thing first, in place of 3 raised to the power of x divided by 3 raised to the power of 4y, what we can write is 3 raised to the power of x minus 4y. Agreed with this? Because the bases are same and the terms are being divided, so powers are going to be subtracted. So 3 raised to the power of x minus 4y would be equals to, in place of 27, I'm going to write 3 cube, isn't it? So 3 cube multiplied by 3 raised to the power of half, because under root 3 means 3 raised to the power of half. Square root of 3 means 3 raised to the power of half. So according with the laws of indices, since the bases are same, 3 respectively, okay, so the powers are going to be added because these two terms are being multiplied. So 3 raised to the power of 3 plus half. So therefore we can say that 3 raised to the power of x minus 4y is equals to 3 raised to the power of 7 over 2. Agreed with this or not? Okay, and now we can see that the bases are same and terms are being equated with each other, so therefore the powers will be equal to each other. X minus 4y is equals to 7 over 2, meaning x minus 7 over 2 is equals to 4y. We need to find y as a simplified function of x, meaning we need to make y the subject of the equation. So y is equals to 1 over 4 completely multiplied by x minus 7 over 2, which means y is equals to 1 over 4 into x minus 7 over 8. This is supposed to be your final answer. Okay, so now let's move on to the next question. Up next we have question number 3, which is P1 June 2019 question number 2. In part A, we need to simplify 1 divided by 4 minus 2 root 2. Okay, and we need to give our answer in the form of a plus b root 2, where a and b are rational numbers. Okay, this part is worth 2 marks. So we need to rationalize the denominator. Okay, so 1 upon 4 minus 2 root 2, we are going to multiply the numerator and denominator by the conjugate surd of 4 minus 2 root 2. Okay, so I hope you have covered the basic concepts of chapter number 1 before starting the past paper questions. Okay, so at this point, when you are actually solving the past paper questions, you must be aware of all of the basic questions which are covered in your textbook. Okay, so that's basically the whole scenario. So I hope you are familiar with all of the concepts, because without, you know, making the concept strong, there is no point in solving the past papers. Okay, the first step is to cover all the concepts and then start with the topical past paper questions. Okay, so 1 divided by 4 minus 2 root 2, this will be multiplied by 4 plus 2 root 2 divided by 4 plus 2 root 2. And the purpose is to basically rationalize the denominator. Purpose is to make the denominator a rational number. Right now, the denominator is an irrational number. Denominator is in surd form. We need to rationalize the denominator. Okay, so in the numerator, we have 4 plus 2 root 2 divided by, a minus b multiplied by a plus b, which is a square minus b square. Okay, so 4 square is 16, and 2 root 2 whole square means 8, meaning 2 square multiplied by root 2 whole squared, which becomes 4 multiplied by 2, which is supposed to be 8. Okay, so 4 plus 2 root 2 completely divided by 16 minus 8, meaning 4 plus 2 root 2 completely over 8. However, we need to write our answer in a very simplified form. As much as simplification is possible, we will do the simplification. Okay, so in the numerator, we can say that taking 2 as common, multiplied by 2 plus root 2, and this is completely divided by 8. Okay, so 2 over 8 is basically 1 upon 4. Okay, so 2 plus root 2 completely divided by 4. At this point, your answer is not yet complete, because we need to give our answer specifically in the form of a plus b root 2. Okay, so that's basically the scenario. Since 4 is a common denominator under both of the terms, 2 and root 2 respectively. All right, right now this is expressed as a single fraction. We are going to express these fractions individually like this: 2 over 4 plus root 2 over 4. So 2 over 4 is simplified as half, and 1 upon 4 is multiplied by root 2 completely. So therefore half plus 1 upon 4 into root 2. Therefore a is equals to half and b is equals to 1 over 4. We have expressed our answer in the form of a plus b root 2. So here your answer is complete because you have achieved the required form. However, stating the value of a and b is not a compulsion. Okay, so that's completely fine if you don't state the value of a and b in this case. You just need to leave your answer in the form of a plus b root 2. Here, just for the sake of formality, I have mentioned the values of a and b respectively. Okay, so I hope you have copied this much working. So up next we have part B. Hence or otherwise solve the equation 4x is equals to 2 root 2x plus 20 root 2, giving your answer in the form of p plus q root 2, where p and q are rational numbers. Okay, this part is worth 3 marks. So basically, we need to solve our equation in such a way in which we can also use, the result of part A. Okay, so 4x minus 2 root 2x is equals to 20 root 2. This is the equation which we need to solve. Now, when you are actually solving the equation, you are essentially finding the value of the unknown variable in the equation, isn't it? Now, since this equation is in terms of x, so obviously, I need to find the value of x. I need to find the value of x, and I need to give my answer in the form of p plus q root 2. So first of all, I'm going to make x the subject of the equation. So for that purpose, I'm going to collect the terms in x on one side and the terms which are without x on the other side of the equation. So 4x minus 2 root 2x is equals to 20 root 2. Now here, if you take x as common, 4 minus 2 root 2 is left inside. Agreed with this? And this whole thing is equals to 20 root 2. So when you make x the subject, so x is equals to 20 root 2 divided by 4 minus 2 root 2. Okay. Now what I need you to understand is that how we are going to use the result of part A over here. Now, if I write this fraction like this, 20 root 2 divided by 4 minus 2 root 2, or if I write my fraction like this, 1 over 4 minus 2 root 2 multiplied by 20 root 2, it's completely the same thing, isn't it? Isn't that very obvious? So what you need to understand is that right now this fraction is basically, in a form in which the denominator is not a rational number. Denominator is an irrational number right now. Denominator is in the form of surd. We need to rationalize the denominator. Okay, our purpose is to make the denominator a rational number. All right. So for that purpose, as we have seen in part A, that in place of 1 upon 4 minus 2 root 2, in place of 1 upon 4 minus 2 root 2, we can exactly write half plus root 2 over 4, meaning half plus 1 over 4 into root 2. Agreed with this or not? Tell me. Okay, so therefore, what we are going to say is that in place of 1 upon 4 minus 2 root 2, we are going to exactly write the result of part A which we obtained. Now all you need to do is just do the expansion. Okay, so x will be equals to 20 root 2 divided by 2 plus 20 root 2 multiplied by root 2 divided by 4. Agreed with this or not? So x will be equals to 10 root 2 plus 5 multiplied by 2, meaning x is equals to 10 plus 10 root 2, because we need to give our answer in the form of p plus q root 2. P is coming first, then the form of q root 2. So x is equals to 10 plus 10 root 2. So therefore, if we make a comparison, P is equals to 10 and Q is also equals to 10. This is supposed to be our answer to part B. All right. And on the previous page here, we solved part A. So this was the complete solution of this question. All right. So I hope you have copied down this much. So now let's move on. So now coming on to the last question of this lecture. This is January 2020, question number 2. This is handout question number 4. Okay. Given that y is equals to 3 raised to the power of x, express each of the following in terms of y and write each expression in its simplest form. So part A is basically 3 raised to the power of 3x. Okay, so what we know, the fact is that 3 raised to the power of x is replaced with y. Y is equals to 3 raised to the power of x. This substitution is given to us in the question. So our purpose is to, just write this 3 raised to the power of 3x in terms of y. Okay, and we need to write each expression in a simplified form. Now what you need to understand is that 3 raised to the power of 3x is exactly the same thing as saying 3 cube whole thing raised to the power of x. But at the same time, it also means 3 raised to the power of x whole cube. Okay, as according to the laws of indices, we have studied a raised to the power of m whole thing raised to the power of n is exactly the same thing as saying a raised to the power of m multiplied by n. The powers will be multiplied together, which would definitely be exactly the same thing as saying a raised to the power of n whole thing raised to the power of m. Okay, so we can just switch the places of the powers, because the result is basically powers are being multiplied together. So 3 cube whole thing raised to the power of x, this is 3 raised to the power of x whole cube, and now this 3 raised to the power of x will be replaced with y. Wherever you see 3 raised to the power of x, you will substitute it with y. Okay, so y cube is going to be your answer. As simple as that. Simple and easy, just for 1 mark. Part B is 1 divided by 3 raised to the power of x minus 2. Now, according to the laws of indices, what we know, the fact is that 1 upon a raised to the power of n is exactly the same thing as saying a raised to the power of minus n. Okay, the power will be multiplied by a minus sign, because in place of 1 we can also write a raised to the power of 0. This is divided by a raised to the power of n, and according to the laws of indices, this is a raised to the power of 0 minus n, which means a raised to the power of minus n. Agreed with this? So 1 divided by 3 raised to the power of x minus 2 is exactly the same thing as saying 3 raised to the power of minus sign multiplied by x minus 2. Agreed with this? So 3 raised to the power of minus x plus 2, which is also the same thing as saying 3 raised to the power of 2 minus x. Okay, and when you have a raised to the power of m minus n, so you can write a raised to the power of m divided by a raised to the power of n. Easy and simple. Okay, so this definitely becomes 3 square divided by 3 raised to the power of x. Now in place of 3 square I can write 9, and in place of 3 raised to the power of x I can write y. My purpose is to just bring the expression in such a form that 3 raised to the power of x is separated. You can individually identify that in this expression, yes, there is 3 raised to the power of x. Okay, wherever you see 3 raised to the power of x, you are just going to say that in place of 3 raised to the power of x, you are going to write y. So I hope you are understanding this scenario. Okay, so 9 over y is supposed to be your answer. All right, so now let's move on to part C, and we are going to conclude this lecture. Okay, and by the way, to my enrolled students, this is lecture number 1.7 part 2. Okay, part 2 of lecture number 1.7 of International A-Level Edexcel P1. Okay, in part 1 we discussed the chapter review questions and exercise 1F questions. So here we have part C, 81 upon 9 raised to the power of 2 minus 3x. Now in place of 81 I'm going to write 3 raised to the power of 4. Okay, now the thing is that intentionally I have mentioned 3 raised to the power of 4. Okay, because the thing is that I want to make base 3, because here I have a particular substitution. Y is equals to 3 raised to the power of x. So intentionally I have chosen 3 raised to the power of 4. But in place of 81, if you write 9 square, then you need to do some additional steps to make the base 3. So I just saved my time. I have to work smartly. You have to work smartly in your exam. Okay, so keep your eyes open and brain focused towards, the scenario given in the question, the requirement given in the question, and the information which is given to you in the question. Okay, so read the question very carefully again and again. You need to read the question again and again very carefully. Okay, so that's basically the thing. So in place of 81, I wrote 3 raised to the power of 4 instead of 9 square. Okay, and in place of 9 we are going to write 3 square, so this becomes 3 square raised to the power of 2 minus 3x, which becomes 3 raised to the power of 4 minus 6x. So 3 raised to the power of 4 divided by 3 raised to the power of 4 minus 6x. According to the laws of indices, this becomes 3 raised to the power of 4 minus bracket open 4 minus 6x bracket close. Agreed. So 3 raised to the power of 4 minus 4 plus 6x, which means 3 raised to the power of 6x. And in place of 3 raised to the power of 6x, I can write 3 raised to the power of x, whole thing raised to the power of 6. Because my intention, my purpose is to bring 3 raised to the power of x, so that in place of 3 raised to the power of x, I can write exactly y. All right. So 3 raised to the power of x, whole thing raised to the power of 6, which is equals to y raised to the power of 6. Okay, so y raised to the power of 6 is your final answer. All right, so here I conclude lecture number 1.7 part 2, and this is basically the first past paper video of P1 chapter number 1. More content is coming on my YouTube channel, so stay updated and stay tuned to my channel. And thanks for watching. And if you want to join our online classes, if you want to join my online classes, so P1 January 2027 session batch is in progress. Okay, so you can just leave me a message on my WhatsApp and I'll share all the details and the schedule of the classes. See you in my next video. Assalamu alaikum.